With the medallion secured in my coat, I made my way out of the cave, the weight of my recent encounter still heavy on my mind. But as I neared the cave's exit, a blood-curdling shriek tore through the air, followed by the unmistakable sound of splashing water and desperate screams. My heart pounded in my chest as I sprinted toward the beach at the lagoon where I had left the Eternal Wanderer and my crew. The scene that greeted me was a vision from a nightmare. My ship was half sunken, massive tentacles wrapped around its hull, pulling it relentlessly towards the depths. The water around the ship seemed to boil, but as I looked closer, I saw the truth. My men were being dragged under by mermaids and sirens, their enchanting beauty twisted into monstrous frenzy. Their once alluring faces were now contorted with savage glee as they tore into the flesh of my crew, their sharp teeth ripping through skin and muscle with sickening ease. Blood stained the water red, mixing with the foam and waves in a gruesome dance of death. Above this macabre spectacle, the succubi hovered on their bat-like wings, their expressions twisted with hatred and malevolence. Their eyes burned with a desire for vengeance, their leathery wings flapping ominously against the darkening sky. One of them, with hair like coiled serpents and eyes that glowed with an inner fire, turned her gaze towards me and pointed a clawed finger in my direction. Her smile was a promise of pain and suffering yet to come. I stood frozen, the horrifying scene playing out before me. The cries of my dying men, the thrashing of the monstrous tentacles, the hiss and snap of the mermaid's jaws, all of it blended into a cacophony that drowned out my thoughts. I couldn't move, couldn't think, as the reality of the horror before me took hold. Then, without warning, two massive tentacles surged from the shallow water, twisting and writhing as they came straight for me. I was paralyzed, unable to tear my gaze away from the impending doom. My heart hammered in my chest, my body locked in terror. But just as the tentacles were about to crush me where I stood, a blinding light erupted from above, filling the air with a radiant glow. I instinctively shielded my eyes, blinking against the brightness. A calm yet firm voice, filled with authority, cut through the chaos. "Do not fear, Captain Ironheart. It is not your time yet." Squinting through the light, I saw the silhouette of a woman floating above the tumultuous water, her form shimmering with an ethereal brilliance. It was as if an ancient force had descended to intervene in the madness. In one fluid motion, she brandished her spear, slicing through the air with deadly precision. The tentacles that had been poised to crush me were severed in an instant, falling away into the water with a splash. The monstrous appendages recoiled, retreating back into the depths from whence they came. Athena's shield, bright as the sun itself, reflected beams of light that cut through the dark mist of the mermaids and sirens, repelling them with an intense radiance. Their shrieks filled the air as they recoiled from the light, their seductive forms twisting and contorting in pain before they vanished beneath the waves, hissing and shrieking as they went. The succubi, seeing their forces decimated and their plans foiled, turned their hateful gazes back to me. The one who had spoken before sneered, her voice dripping with venom. "This is far from over, Captain. Our mother Lilith shall be free once more. And when she is, not even that medallion will save you from her wrath." With that, they dissolved into a swirling black mist, leaving the air heavy with the promise of future reckoning. I stood there, rooted to the spot, the sounds of battle fading into a haunting silence. The beach around me was littered with the remnants of my ship, the broken bodies of my crew slowly washing ashore with the tide. The devastation was immense, the loss of life and ship overwhelming. Athena descended gracefully, her feet touching the sand as she approached me. The aura of light around her dimmed slightly, though her presence still filled the air with a sense of power and calm. She looked at me, her eyes filled with a mixture of pity and understanding. "You have faced a great evil today," she said, her voice gentle yet strong. But your journey is far from over, Captain Ironheart. I nodded, still struggling to process all that had happened. The goddess had saved me, but at a great cost. My ship, my men, were all but lost. What was all that, oh bright lady warrior? I demanded, my voice still shaking from the chaos I had just witnessed. The woman before me, who had saved my life and decimated the dark forces that had slaughtered my crew, turned to face me fully. Her eyes, piercing and wise, met mine with a calm intensity. My name is Athena, goddess of war and knowledge. I come from the land of ancient Greece, she began, her voice carrying the weight of ages. Lilith and her succubi weren't just hoarding material treasures in that cave. She was assembling a loyal army of darkness from all corners of the world and time itself. That is what she was using the medallion for, to convince beings that were once banished to darkness and recruit them. We believe she intended to take over the world. We? I echoed, my curiosity piqued even as my nerves remained taut. There is more of us, Athena replied, her tone firm yet enigmatic. But it is not my place nor the right moment to explain further. All I can say is that you claimed the medallion at the perfect time. Now, we have a chance to fight back. Her words unsettled me. What do you mean, fight? I was only interested in traveling, exploring new lands, seeing new places, and claiming treasures. I'm no soldier in anyone's war. My voice betrayed a mix of confusion and anger. Athena held up a hand, her expression remaining composed. And explore you shall. But please, hold your temper and delay your decisions until you hear the full story. You just said it wasn't your place. Whose place is it then? I pressed, my frustration growing. Athena raised her hand to her lips and whistled sharply. The sound pierced the night air, and for a moment everything was still. Then, from the darkness beyond, a faint flapping of wings reached my ears. My eyes narrowed as I stared into the blackness, searching for the source of the sound. Slowly, a bright light began to grow on the horizon, drawing closer and closer until its shape became clear. A winged horse emerged from the night, its wings shimmering with a platinum sheen that reflected the moonlight in dazzling patterns. The horse's coat was a pristine white, its mane and tail flowing like rivers of silver. The magnificent beast landed softly beside Athena, folding its wings neatly against its sides. I could hardly tear my eyes away from it, the creature's ethereal beauty unlike anything I had ever seen. "This is Pegasus," Athena said, stroking the horse's mane with a gentle hand. "Our winged miracle, born from the blood of one who was once devoted to me." The bond between goddess and steed was palpable, an unspoken connection that radiated strength and loyalty. Athena turned back to me, her gaze intense and unyielding. "If you are still willing to follow your goals and dreams, to explore the unknown, and perhaps aid us in our cause along the way, Pegasus will take you to a place where all your questions will be answered. But if you choose to refuse, I will need to take the medallion from you and find another hero. You will be returned safely to the harbor of Port Royal, but from there, you will be on your own." I pulled the medallion from my coat pocket, feeling its weight in my hand. My name, Cedric Ironheart, was engraved on its surface, shining with a light that seemed to come from within. The events of the past day had shaken me to my core. I had encountered beings I never knew existed, seen horrors that defied description, and now stood on the precipice of a choice that could change my life forever. Despite the fear that gnawed at my insides, I felt a spark of something else. Curiosity, intrigue, a deep-seated desire to know what lay beyond the horizons I had always known. What more was out there, waiting to be discovered? What other secrets did the world hold, secrets that only a few dared to seek? Athena watched me closely, her expression unreadable. The medallion felt warm in my hand, as if urging me toward a decision. The journey ahead was fraught with unknown dangers, but I had faced death and darkness already, and survived. I looked up at Athena, then at the majestic Pegasus standing beside her. My decision was made. I will go. Athena's eyes softened with approval, and Pegasus, as if sensing my decision, let out a proud neigh, its wings fluttering in anticipation. Pegasus shall carry you from this island to another place on Earth, but in time, Athena explained, you shall travel to the far north. To reach your destination, Pegasus will take you above the clouds. The moment you emerge from the clouds, you must shout the word Valask-Yalf. The medallion will do the rest. She paused, noting the apprehension in my expression, and gave a reassuring smile. Do not worry, Captain Ironheart. If I wanted to kill you, I have far more direct ways than this. You can trust me. I took a deep breath and reluctantly, yet with a strange sense of resolve, climbed onto Pegasus's back. The creature's strength was palpable beneath me, its powerful muscles rippling with every movement. Athena placed a reassuring hand on my shoulder. The medallion you carry is a key to many doors, some that lead to unimaginable power, others to the darkest corners of existence. And remember, you are not alone. I barely had time to settle before Pegasus leaped into the air, his mighty wings beating against the night sky. The ground fell away beneath us with alarming speed, the island shrinking into a dark speck amidst the churning sea. The wind roared in my ears, and I held tightly to the horse's mane, my heart racing as we climbed higher and higher. The air grew colder as we ascended, but the adrenaline coursing through my veins kept the chill at bay. We soared through the night, the stars glittering above us like scattered diamonds. The clouds drew closer, a dense, misty blanket that we plunged into without hesitation. The world around me became a swirling vortex of gray, the cool moisture clinging to my skin. For a moment, it felt like we were lost in a dream, with no up or down, no sense of direction. Then, as suddenly as we had entered, we broke through the clouds. The sky opened up above us, revealing a breathtaking vista of stars, more than I had ever seen in my life. The Milky Way stretched across the heavens like a river of light, and I could hardly breathe for the awe that gripped me. The vastness of the universe, the sheer beauty of it, took my breath away. In that moment, I almost forgot why I was there, lost in the wonder of it all. But Pegasus, ever dutiful, let out a firm, almost impatient neigh, snapping me back to the task at hand. I raised my arm, clutching the medallion, and shouted with all the strength I could muster, Valask-Yalf. The word echoed through the night, and suddenly, a golden portal ripped open before us, the light so bright it forced me to shut my eyes against its brilliance. Pegasus didn't hesitate, diving headlong into the portal, and I felt a rush of energy unlike anything I had experienced before. The temperature plummeted. I felt my breath turn to frost, freezing in my mustache and beard. The cold bit into my skin, and I could sense the massive shift in the world around me, even before I dared to open my eyes. When I finally did, I found myself gazing upon a landscape like none I had ever seen before. Endless forests draped in a blanket of snow stretched out beneath us. Rivers, frozen solid, wound through valleys, and towering fjords rose from the earth like the bones of ancient giants. The world was stark, harsh, and beautiful in a way that took my breath away. But there was no time to marvel at the scenery. Pegasus began to descend, and I saw ahead of us, carved into the side of a towering mountain, a massive wooden door framed by intricate carvings and runes that glowed faintly with an otherworldly light. The letters were unlike anything I had ever seen before, their meaning a mystery to me. We landed softly in front of the door, the snow crunching under Pegasus's hooves. The air was still, thick with the weight of the place's ancient magic. As I dismounted, the cold air biting into my skin, I saw them, tall, imposing women standing guard before the door. Their armor gleamed in the pale light, forged of a metal that seemed to drink in the cold and gleam with an inner fire. Their helms were adorned with wings, and their eyes, sharp and piercing, watched us with a fierce intensity. Each held a spear, its tip gleaming with a deadly edge, and their stances were strong, ready to strike down any who dared approach uninvited. As soon as Pegasus's hooves touched the snow, they moved, their eyes locked onto me with a suspicion that bordered on hostility. They formed a line in front of the door, their spears lowered, barring my way. One of them, clearly the leader, stepped forward. Her presence was commanding, her voice like the crack of ice. "Who dares to approach the hall of Velasquez? I am Captain Cedric Ironheart," I said, my voice steady despite the cold and the tension in the air. "I've been sent here by Athena, goddess of war and knowledge." The Valkyries exchanged glances, their expressions unreadable. The leader's eyes narrowed, scrutinizing me as if trying to see through to my very soul. "Why have you come?" she demanded, her tone unyielding. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the medallion in my hand. "I come seeking answers," I replied, "and perhaps a purpose." For a tense moment, the Valkyries remained unmoved, their eyes piercing through the darkness like the coldest winter wind. Then their leader's gaze shifted to the medallion clutched in my hand. Slowly, the deadly points of their spears lowered. The leader nodded to one of her comrades, her voice carrying the weight of ancient authority. "Find the All-Father." If you're curious why the captain received the wrath of the succubi and Lilith, and what mysteries are hidden behind the golden medallion, click on these videos. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and maybe leave a comment with your impressions. Thank you for watching.